Now let's talk about best practice. So time now to save time later. So it's very important in the geotechnical world to prepare the field properly to prepare the project properly before you go to field. So it's very important to identify where each sensor going to be installed and identify on your gateway by name properly your sensor, so you know sensor 1 go at this location. Because after, like when you have 100 of sensor installed on site, you don't know where each one is installed. So you have a requirement is also a very important one. So the accuracy and threshold are usually provided by the structural engineer and when the project starts. So you have, is very important to choose the right instrument to monitor the right displacement. For example, if you want to monitor like an underground displacement of different layer of soil, it's better to use MPBX or extensometer. Field setup is also extremely important. So you need to find the right location to guarantee the proper signal. For example, like using external antenna, and to make sure you have the right communication to provide continuous data to your gateway. You also need to ensure like reliability on the position where you install your sensors. For example, you need to make sure you use a proper bracket where you want to install your tilt sensor or your laser tilt. For example, this is a good example, like the bracket is pretty well installed. So you are sure like your laser tilt is very stable. And because you want to make sure like you don't have like any movement due to a bad installation. Power, I would say in general, it's a big topic for monitoring. So you have different type of power. For example, you can have solar, you can have wind turbine, you can have external power, or you can have battery. For most of the geotechnical sensor, you use internal battery, but we also have, for example, weather station, you need to use external source of power. So it's crucial for monitoring project to really identify what can be your source of power and choose probably the best one. For example, if you're in North Canada, sometimes it's better to use wind turbine instead of solar panel. So it's very important to make sure you are able to monitor 24/7. And then the data management. So data management is also key for successful project. So different parameter has to be defined, like sampling rate or the processing interval on your processing software on Trimble 40, for example, or the report schedule or the alarm frequency. And the communication. So communication for geotechnical, you use a long-range radio signal to communicate. So you need to select the right frequency or buy the right gateway, depend on your region where you're located. You need to high device placement. So you need also to define your location based on the signal, but I will say communication also depend on the location of the gateway, and as Monia mentioned. So it's very important to install as tall as you can to have a proper communication with your sensor around. You maybe need to use external antenna to extend the communication range on the sensor. It's also very important to check your 4G signal for the gateway to make sure like the communication with the server and the sensor with the server is made properly. And also very important when you come on site to check like the coverage to make sure you have a proper connection with the gateway. So the baseline, I know it's very easy to say, but you need to start your baseline as soon as possible before the project starts in order to analyze the environment and make sure like the displacement you're gonna have is not due to like natural movement due to temperature, wind, or other factors. Start early to understand how structure or area behave without outside influence. And this structure can be building, railway, rock face, or so it's very important to understand your structure before you start monitoring. So starting early by your time, if something happened, you need changing. It's easier to do before the monitoring is critical. So basically, you need to think also when you start monitoring what's next. Like if something happened, what is to anticipate the risk. If there is anything happen, maybe you need to scale on different sensor, more accurate, and you need to have a scalable system in any time to be able to monitor the change. Practice with any new equipment in the office before, and this is really key. So before you go on site, I always advise the customer to pair already the sensor with a gateway. So at least if on site you just need to check the signal and you're sure like it was working at the office, and it will prevent any potential issue or confusion.